The sky cracked open above my field, and something fell out of it screaming. I dropped the feed bucket in my hand and ran toward the smoke without thinking. My name is Martin. I am 58 years old, and I run a small farm in a quiet corner of Nebraska. Nothing exciting ever happens here. That night, everything changed in less than a minute. A metal pod had torn a burning trench through my soybeans. Sparks were still jumping off it when I reached the edge. My hands shook as I pulled at the broken hatch, the metal so hot it stung my palms. Inside, curled up and shaking, was a child. Her skin was pale gray, her eyes too large for her face, and she was crying in a language I had never heard before. I did not stop to think about what she was. I pulled her out, wrapped her in my jacket, and ran for the house, while the pod hissed and cracked behind me. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. I did not know if more wreckage would fall, or if something worse was coming down after her. I just ran. That was the first night. It was not the last. Over the next few months, more of them arrived. Some came down in pods like the first. One walked out of my tree line alone in the middle of the night, glowing faintly, and stood at my door as if she already knew this was where she was supposed to be. Two more I found hiding together in my storm cellar, holding hands, too frightened to make a sound. By the end of that year, I had 7 children living under my roof, and not one of them shared my language. I never told anyone. I did not call the police, I did not call the news, and I did not tell my neighbors. Every time I thought about picking up the phone, I imagined strangers in white coats taking these children away to some cold building to be studied like insects. I could not do that. So instead, I built extra beds, learned to cook food they could actually eat, and stayed awake many nights listening for danger. The fear never fully left me. Every headlight on the road past my farm made my chest tighten. Every unfamiliar sound outside made me grab the old shotgun by my bed and stand at the window until my heart slowed down. I was hiding 7 children, whose real world I knew nothing about, and I had no idea who or what might come looking for them. I taught them how to catch fireflies and how to eat corn on the cob. They taught me that fear sounds the same in every language when a child wakes up from a nightmare. Slowly, the house that had felt so empty since my wife passed away 3 years earlier began to feel alive again. I told myself we were safe. I was wrong. It happened on a warm evening in late summer. I was locking up the barn when the air itself began to hum, low and deep, the kind of sound you feel in your bones before you hear it. The dogs went silent. Even the wind seemed to stop. I turned around, just as the sky above my farm turned a strange, glowing purple, spreading wider and wider until it swallowed the stars. My first thought was that we were under attack. I ran for the house, shouting for the children to get inside, my heart slamming against my ribs. But when I burst through the door, all 7 of them were already standing at the window, and instead of fear, their faces were lit up with something I had never seen on them before: pure joy. Before I could stop them, they ran past me, out the door, across the yard, toward the light pouring down from the sky. I chased after them, terror twisting my stomach into knots, certain I was about to lose them to whatever was descending on my land. I could not catch them. I could only follow, shouting names I had given them myself, watching helplessly as they ran straight toward the enormous shape taking form in the middle of my field. It was not a ship exactly, not the way I imagined ships to look. It was more like a wall of night sky had folded itself down onto my land, quiet and massive, blotting out the moon completely. My legs nearly gave out beneath me. I grabbed the fence post to stay standing as a shape began to step out of the light, tall as my barn roof, dark as polished stone, with veins of glowing purple running beneath skin like living shadow. The 7 children did not run from it. They ran straight into it, colliding against its legs, and the enormous shape folded around them the way a hand folds around something small and precious. I stood frozen at the edge of my own yard, breath caught in my throat, waiting for whatever was going to happen next, certain that whatever this was could end my life without even noticing me. Then it looked up, directly at me. I could not move. I could not speak. Every instinct in me screamed to run, but my legs would not obey. The being straightened to its full height, children still gathered close around it, and studied me with eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies inside them. "You are the one," it said. Its voice was calm, but it rolled through the field like distant thunder. The one who kept them safe. My mouth had gone completely dry. I forced out the only honest answer I had. I did not know what else to do. They were scared. They needed somewhere to go. For a long moment, nothing happened. The purple light kept pulsing slowly above us, and I became aware of every breath I was taking, every heartbeat, waiting to learn whether I had just saved 7 lives or ended my own. One of the children, the one who had walked out of my tree line that first strange night, turned in the being's arms and spoke quickly, pointing back toward me, her small hand tugging urgently at what I now understood was her mother. "She says you sat beside her the first night," the being said, translating without being asked. "When she woke up crying for a sky she could no longer see, she says you understood nothing she was saying, and you stayed with her anyway, until the sun came up." My throat tightened so hard I could barely answer. "I did not have anywhere else I needed to be," I said, and my voice cracked as I said it, because it was the truest thing I had said out loud in years. The being lowered itself slightly, the enormous shape folding down until its face was almost level with mine, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from it like sunlight before a storm. My heart was still racing, every part of me still braced for danger, still certain this could go badly in an instant. "Among my people," it said, "there is no greater honor than protecting a child who is not your own, with nothing to gain from it. No army, no treaty, no promise of reward." Its glowing eyes moved slowly over the 7 children still pressed against it. "You had every reason to fear what fell onto your land. You knelt in the dirt and helped anyway." "They were cold," I said simply. That was all that mattered to me. Something shifted in that vast, ancient face, something almost like relief. The tension in my chest finally began to loosen, just slightly, enough for me to realize my hands were still shaking at my sides. "Then you will not lose them," the being said. "I do not come to take them from you. I come to thank the one who gave them a home when the universe had taken theirs away." I could hardly believe what I was hearing. Relief crashed through me so suddenly that my knees nearly buckled beneath me, and I had to grip the fence post again, just to stay upright. The fear that had lived in my chest for months finally began to fade, replaced by something warmer, something I had not felt in a very long time. The 7 children turned toward me then, breaking away from their mother, running back across the field to wrap their arms around my legs, laughing, chattering excitedly in words I still could not understand but somehow no longer needed to. I knelt down in the dirt and held them close, my heart finally slowing down after what felt like the longest hour of my life. The being remained a moment longer, watching us, before the great column of light began to rise back into the sky, gentle and silent, folding the night back into place. Before it disappeared completely, it spoke one final time, its voice softer now, almost warm. "There will be others," it said. "Children of my kind, scattered across the stars, searching for a safe place to land. Word travels far when a heart is kind enough to deserve it." Then the light was gone, and the sky above my farm returned to ordinary darkness, filled once more with familiar stars. My legs finally gave out, and I sat down right there in the dirt, 7 small arms still wrapped tightly around me, my heart pounding not with fear anymore, but with something close to happiness. I did not sleep much that night, but for the first time in months, it was not because I was afraid. It was because I could not stop smiling. In the years that followed, more children came, dropped gently from the sky onto my quiet little farm, sent by word passed across distant worlds about the man who never once asked where they came from before opening his door. I stopped being afraid of the sound of the wind at night. I stopped grabbing the shotgun at every unfamiliar noise. I learned that courage is not about knowing what you are facing. Sometimes it is simply about refusing to look away when someone small and frightened needs you the most.